Hey guys, we're already at part five. It is so awesome to continue to go down this journey and pathway with you guys. So pumped! Last week we reviewed supporting roles, and a quick recap of last week. We looked at mandatory and optional roles, what they meant. Mandatory roles are roles that are important. For example, I'm married to a beautiful woman, and that's a mandatory role. Being a great husband to her is a mandatory role. When we have kids, being a father will be a mandatory role. Optional roles, being a coffee drinker, right? Being a runner, even though that is good for my health, there are many other ways that I can choose to continue to be healthy, right? So optional roles are roles that can be switched and adjusted, but a mandatory role, no. There's a commitment and a need, and the mandatory role is required for that 20-year to 30-year purpose vision. The next thing we looked at is ranking these roles, right? So you have a mandatory role that may not be supportive, right? You may have a an optional role that may be very supportive, right? So ranking these roles so you understand which roles are supporting you in your 20 to 30-year goal and which roles are not. Uh, then the next thing we looked at was which roles you keep, right? In deciding which roles you keep, right, you're looking not necessarily at just the supportive roles, you're looking at roles that will help get you to your purpose, right? Obviously, that's going to consist more of your supportive goals, but there are some goals that are not supportive that you have to work on, and that's the next step. Which roles do we need to improve? Which roles are not supportive that we need to improve to make roles to keep, right? Roles to strengthen. The next one is roles to get rid of, right? You may have roles that are supportive that you have to get rid of, right? You may have roles that are not supportive that would be a clear indication of examples to get rid of. So keeping in mind why roles are important and how they support us in achieving these goals. So today we're looking at navigation. All right, navigation, we talked about breaking the 20-year goal down to a 5-year goal. But in order to navigate this 5-year goal, you need to break it down to chunks that are manageable chunks, manageable size chunks. This is important, right? Now, back to my illustration earlier. If you imagine going 20 years, let's relate that to driving from here to Florida. So that's about 10 to 12 hours of driving. The first step that I would take, right, is not to look at the 10-hour drive and plan for the 10-hour drive, but I would plan for a 2 to 3 hour drive to maybe Jackson, Mississippi, right? That's a smaller, and it's probably more than 3 hours, but anyways, it's a smaller chunk that you can manage. Okay, and the same exact example that we had before of breaking the 20-year goal into a 5-year goal, and it allows you to see something that's closer, right? What we're doing here is we're doing more navigation. Navigation is if you set your GPS to go to Alabama or Mississippi, right? You need to navigate. You need to make the left turn, the right turn, and that happens every 100 meters, every mile, right? You need to do something new. You need to adjust your mirrors. You need to look in your rear view mirror. There are so many things that need to happen to help you navigate that, right? It is important that you understand the navigation, right? The things that need to happen in order for you to reap the best results, right? Uh, we'll start off, and it is a very simple approach, right? We look at months, right? We look at a 5 month uh, approach, and the 5 month approach. Here's the key thing here, okay? There is a task, right? There's a task with a result focus, right? So when I say a task with a result focus, instead of saying for example, let's say I want to be an advisor. Okay, so in 5 months maybe I want to get my first coaching client. Instead of saying having my first task be get a consulting client, I want a result focused task which says I got a coaching client. right? So you're speaking as if it's already happened. Okay, this is where you ask, you seek, you ask and you receive, right? You need to be very confident in, I have done this by this month. And the reason we break, and if you'll notice, month 5 starts first. Okay, the reason that is you want to reverse engineer this whole deal. Okay, so if you start month 5, I want to, in 5 months, we'll use Tori. Tori is a real life example of one of my clients and what she was looking to achieve, right? So if she wanted to be hired, look right here. If she wanted to be hired as the head Sundance Festival photographer, right? She knew there were things that she had to do before that, right? And in reverse engineering that, she knew, well, if I want to be hired, and think high level, just in the beginning, think high level, and you'll realize that you have the month and it's broken down by weeks, right? That just tells you what you have to do, what you have to accomplish each week for you to be successful. So if you think high level, she wants to be hired as the head Sundance Festival photographer. She takes one step back. The next thing is, I need to sign the contract. Okay, I need to sign a contract with someone before that's even possible. And then she takes the next step back before that. She needs to meet with the event planners, right? My wife is an event planner, and when she books speakers and when she books performers and whatnot, this is happening months in advance, right? But they sign a contract before they even get paid, right? So you sign the contract, that's the agreement that we're going to hire you. They can change their minds, right? But then when you're hired, you're brought on and you come and you execute. That's when you've achieved your goal, right? So she looks back, she has to meet with the event planners. But before she can meet with the event planners, maybe they have to hear about her. They have to be able to go somewhere and see her. So she says, I need to launch a website. So she goes back to launch a website. How can I launch a website when I don't even have a company? So start the company, register the company. These are some of the goals that she set. And then when you look deeper into them, you see the things that need to happen for that to be achieved, right? So in order for you to not get bogged down by the details, what is important is that you first start with the big goal. So just go month 5. Here's my result focused task. Month 4, here's my result focused task. Month 3, my result focused task, and do the same for month 2 and 1. And then you go back to month 5 and break that down. What does that really look like? And it might actually be easier just to go back up. So instead of starting from month 5 to break down the details, you might need to go from month 1 and begin writing the details, right? You figure out what works and what works best for you. Every task has to be a result, right? It has to be, and I cannot continue to tell you why that is so important. It has to be a result of what would have happened when you take successful action. Who is the next key thing? The reason you put a who there is you want to know who is responsible, who is accountable, who you need to consult, and who needs to be involved, right? Now that we've covered that, we're going to look at what to expect next week. And next week, next course, we're wrapping up. We're tying the bow on this, right? So go ahead and begin to fill out this 5-month plan, knowing that plans are useless. Planning is everything. Alrighty? What we'll be looking at next course is why you're here, how you impact the world, how you create something of value, who you can build it with, and what you need to keep doing till you make it. Again, thank you so much, and we'll see you next course.